Well, this is a month to the day that we planted our flats. As you can see, we have a terrible, terrible problem with the weeds. We're going to spray today, this evening actually. The only problem is I flooded our garden tractor, so we're going to have to wait till it unfloods so we can actually start the spraying process. The flats is tall enough now that we can spray it without damaging it. There are several ways you can actually take care of the weeds. We use a combination of an herbicide called Poast, P-O-A-S-T, for the grasses, and we have a second herbicide called Buttril. I think it's B-U-C-T-R-I-L, for the broadleaf weeds. So actually it takes two different types of herbicides if you're going to be spraying. And for the amounts, I would suggest you talk to your county extension agent for the exact amount that you're going to need compared to the water that you have to dilute it with. Keep in mind that herbicides like Buttril and Poast are basically protected herbicides, which means that you need to be certified to use them and to obtain them. It really helps if you know an orchard person or a farmer who uses these herbicides regularly, and then perhaps he or she would let you have enough for your own job. If you don't have a half acre or so like we have, you may not need to use herbicides at all. If you have a small, say 10 by 10 foot plot, enough for 1 pound of flaxseed, then you can easily just pull the weeds out yourself. The problem is that as your plot gets bigger, it requires more weeding on your part, and at some point you may want to consider using herbicides. But again, contact your county extension agent. He or she will be able to tell you exactly what herbicides to use and the amount to use. So, and always be very careful when using herbicides. It helps to have utensils such as measuring cups that are just used for the herbicides and nothing else. So what we're going to be doing is spraying this week, and then we'll come back next week on the 5th week and see how effective our spraying has been. If you have an intermediate sized plot, say bigger than 10 by 10 square feet, but less than an acre or so, you may want to consider another type of sprayer, an intermediate type of sprayer. There is the backpack sprayer, which I find very handy to use. It'll hold 3 gallons of liquid, and with one hand you pump to provide the air pressure, and with the other hand you have the wand, the spray wand, a very efficient type of sprayer, and you can spray a fairly good sized plot of land. This would be probably especially good for historic sites that raise some amount of flats. The other type of hand sprayer is the traditional handheld or shoulder slung pump action canister, where you actually have the piston that you hand prime, and then you have the wand that you hold in one hand, and you can sling the sprayer over the shoulder with the other. This is also an efficient type of sprayer, but I don't find it to be quite as good, reliable, or as long-lasting as the backpack sprayer. The other thing is that we have sprayed our flats, and we're going to take a look at what's happening to the field and get some idea about what we can expect later on. Spraying may be an exact science for some farmers, but it's not for us. What you'll see is that some of the weeds have indeed brown leaves, but the leaves are still living. It's been 5 days since we've sprayed. And unfortunately, what you'll see as well is that some of the flax leaves are also dying, which is not a good sign. So it's difficult to say what happened. It could just be the spraying ratio, the speed of, actually I use a garden tractor, the speed of the garden tractor compared with the capacity, the spraying capacity, the output of the sprayer may not be synchronized properly. For us, there was simply a lot of guesswork at this stage, and we're hoping that the weeds will continue to die and the flats will survive and come back. But right now, it's not what we were expecting. We're in the back 40 of our flax field, and we're going to be looking at a couple of things. We're going to be checking the relative height of the flax. Some of it, for its age, is doing quite well, meaning it's 8 to 10 inches tall. Other flax is quite stunted, and when we fertilized, I wasn't sure how far our seed was going to go, and I really did not put much fertilizer back here, and we were going to use this as a test plot to see what happens with the relative concentrations of fertilizer and how the flax plant grows in very similar conditions, but still shows exceedingly significant differences in height. As I said earlier, this is at the 5-week period. The flax is basically about halfway towards its maturity. That's sort of unfortunate because what we're seeing here is flax that's really stunted. Even the tall flax, which might be 8 to 10 inches tall, is really short for this 5 weeks growth. The real problem, however, comes in this area, and we have a lot of areas like this, where the flax is still maybe 4 to 5 inches tall. And you can see too how unevenly it's growing. So we're going to have some problems here. For some reason, there are very few weeds here, and I don't know why that is. This is really the heaviest clay soil, which is really not conducive to flax production. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens over the next few weeks in terms of what type of crop we're going to get, the height at which it matures, and basically, in terms of quantity, how much flax we're going to be getting. So next week will be the 6th week, and we'll take a look at the field and see what we have.